if I had to start high ticket sales from scratch in 2025, knowing everything that I know now from working with Alex Hormozi at Gym Launch and becoming Iman Gadzhi's top closer, I would do things completely different than what I did back in 2020. You see, when I first broke into remote sales, I made every mistake in the book. I applied to hundreds of jobs with a terrible resume. I took calls without any real strategy. And beyond that, I had no idea on how to actually improve my performance. It took me months to land my first role and even longer to start making any real money. But here's the thing, if I were to start today, I would be able to compress that learning curve within 60 to 90 days, if that. And that's not because the market is any easier, but because I now understand the exact sequence of steps that actually matter. I am going to walk you through my complete game plan for getting into remote high ticket sales in 2025. Everything from landing your first interview to earning your first $10,000 month in commission as a salesperson. But here's what makes this different from any how to get into sales video that you've seen before. We are going to make this interactive, meaning I am going to show you exactly what I do step by step and then give you the exact frameworks to implement in each phase. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, because at the end of this video, you will have a complete roadmap that you could start executing today. Now, before we dive in, I am going to give you some context on why this approach will be different from anything you've seen in the past. Now, when I first got started in remote sales, I was completely clueless. I literally applied through a sales call at Gym Launch thinking it was a job interview. That's how green I was. But working directly for Alex Hormozi taught me something crucial. Now, there is a massive difference between activity and productivity in sales. And what that means is, as a salesperson, 20% of the activities that you do are going to produce 80% of the results. And on the flip side, 80% of the activities that you do will only produce 20% of the results. And so the name of the game with sales is understanding what are those 20% of activities that you should focus on that will produce 80% of the results, aka make you more money and close you more deals. And I will say most salespeople have this backwards. They are spending too much time on things that don't matter and won't make them money. Now, when I transitioned to Iman Gadzhi's sales team and became his highest cash collected sales rep, I realized something else. The skills that get you hired aren't necessarily the same skills that make you money. Understanding this distinction is what would allow me to fast track this entire process if I were starting over, and this is what I'll talk about today. So let's break this down in the exact phases that I would follow. Phase number 1, find a job. The best way to learn sales is by actually selling. This is similar to any sport that you'd ever learn how to play. If we were trying to learn to become a top performing soccer or football player, you could only read so many books and watch so many damn YouTube videos before it's time to get on the field and start playing. And it's the same thing with sales. If you want to master the skill, if you want to make a lot of money with sales, you need to start selling. Now, most people approach finding a sales role like throwing spaghetti on the wall. They apply everywhere and hope something sticks. But if I were starting over, I would use something called the sniper approach, meaning targeting specific opportunities with surgical precision. Step 1, company intelligence gathering. Now, before you even start applying to any sales roles, you'd have to do some background research first. I would use the Facebook ad library method, which I'll tag a video below in my bio that breaks that down in full detail, but that's essentially where you use the Facebook ad library to reverse search companies. That way you could find online businesses that are spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on ads that you could apply to start selling for their company. Now, why does that matter? I'll keep it short and sweet. If a company is running tons and tons of advertisements on Facebook and Instagram, that is already proof that they're earning at least 6 to 7 figures per month. Meaning, if you land a sales role with them, you have the ability to earn money right away. Now, again, I would use the Facebook ad library method, but with a bit of a twist. Instead of just finding companies that are advertising, I would analyze their entire funnel. So here's exactly what I do. I would find 10 companies running high ticket ads. I would go through their entire sales process as a prospect and even book a call with their sales team. Now, you don't have to take the call. As soon as you book it, you could go ahead and cancel the meeting. But following that, I would document their entire approach. Everything from their pricing structure, the emails you received, and their follow-up sequence. This is called funnel hacking, if you did not know. Next, I would identify which one aligns with my values and conversation style. And the reason why I say that, the number one important important thing for yourself as a salesperson to earn a lot of money is conviction. You need to sell something that you believe in. When it comes to closing deals, trust and confidence is 80% of the game to be a top performer with sales. If you do not believe in the product that you're selling, it will cause you to not be confident on sales calls, which will cause the prospect not to trust you, meaning you will not close deals. And so always apply to companies that you have conviction in already. Now, step number 2 is the value first application. Now, this is where most people completely miss the mark. Instead of sending generic applications, I would create what I call a sales process audit for each company that you apply to. Now, the reason why you do this is because you want to stand out amongst the hundreds of other people that may have applied for a role. And it doesn't take you more than 4 to 5 minutes. Open up Loom, go through their funnel, identify 2 to 3 improvements that you would make with their process, and include that video in your application. This would immediately position me as somebody who understands their business and not just somebody who's looking for a job. Now, step number 3 is the follow-up framework. Here's something that I learned from my time of working with Hormozi and Iman. Persistence beats perfection, but only if it's strategic. I would create a 7-part follow-up sequence, and it would look something like this. Part number 1 would be the initial application with a value add analysis, meaning the sales process audit. Part number 2, I would send a message to their team on LinkedIn with a personalized message. Part number 3 would be an email with additional insights of their market. And part 4, I would send a video email addressing a specific challenge that I noticed. Part 5, I would send a case study of a similar company who had more success in them. And now we're getting towards the end. Around part 6, I would try to do a direct phone call to their company as long as I could find their phone number. And finally, part 7 would be the final email asking for next steps. The reason why this approach is important is because it would get me interviews with at least 50% of the companies that I applied to, rather than the 2 to 3% response rate that most people get when they apply to a remote sales role. And if you follow this process with precision, you should have no problem with landing an interview yourself. But landing an interview is pointless without actually securing the role. So how do you actually make sure you nail this part as well? Phase number 2, the interview domination strategy. Now, this is where my experience with working with top tier companies would actually pay off here. I know exactly what they're looking for when it comes to remote salespeople, and it's actually not what most people think. So keeping with that theme, I will show you the 3-layer interview strategy that specifically showcases the skills that they're looking for. Now, you'll be surprised, you could get pretty far in the remote sales space with having no experience just by showing how much grit and determination that you have. You know, you may be asking me, or a lot of people ask me this in general, like, do I need a huge work history of sales in order to land a role in the space? And the straightforward answer is saying, no, you don't. And I'm perfect proof of that. But the 3-layer interview strategy will help you out a ton no matter what your sales experience is. Now, layer number 1 is confidence without arrogance. I would prepare stories that demonstrate quiet confidence. And that's not by bragging about results that I've achieved, but instead showing how I approach problems and think about solutions. You know, one of Elon's hiring rules for anybody he brings on to Tesla or any team he hires for is he wants proof of exceptional ability. So ask yourself, what things have you been through in life and what stories can you share that show proof of your exceptional ability? Layer number 2, business understanding. Now, this is huge. I would research not only their company, but their entire industry. What challenges are their clients facing? What's happening in the market? How does their solution fit into the bigger picture? Listen, I will just be super straightforward. If you apply to a company and get on an interview and have no idea about their market or what they're selling, they will not hire you and you will look like an idiot. So before you jump on that interview, do full research into the company by looking at their funnel, looking at their VSL, and having a good understanding of their business. Layer number 3, coachability demonstration. Now, here is something that most people miss. Companies don't want someone who could just sell. They want someone that they could develop, somebody they could pour their time into, someone who could fit the mold for the way that they want you to sell. So I would prepare questions that show I'm thinking about growth and improvement and not just getting hired. Here's a few power questions that I would ask. Number 1, what does success look like in this role after 90 days? Meaning, what are the KPIs that you want to see me hit by day 90? Number 2, what is the current challenge that your sales team is facing? Number 3, what are the differences between the top performing sales rep on your team and the bottom performing sales rep on your team? Number 4, do I have the ability to work weekends? Sales managers love to hear that. Of course you do. And number 5, how do you typically develop new sales reps? These questions do two things. Number one is they give me valuable information that I could use to make a decision if this is the right company for me or not. Number two is they do position me as more of an expert. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm somebody who thinks strategically about the role. I will give you a short nuance. I've spoken with, tons and tons of sales managers, I'm sure, as you could imagine. Plus, I've managed sales teams myself. Typically, the person who asks the most amount of questions on the interview are the ones that I hire, and I do that intuitively. And that's along with other sales managers that I know as well. The person who goes through an interview and is too nervous to ask any tactical questions about the role are the ones that we assume are not that serious about sales and probably have no idea what they're talking about. So use those 5 questions. That way you can position yourself as an expert and show that you're serious about long-term growth with their company. And side note, most remote sales companies are not looking for people with just the most amount of experience. They're looking for people who they could trust and who will always keep improving their craft. Phase number 3, the first 30 days foundation and mastery plan. Now, after you secured the sales role, you may have the urge, I hope you don't, to take your foot off the gas because, hey, you finally landed the role, right? Well, you are wrong, especially in the industry of sales. Now it's time to showcase that they made the right decision. And hey, throughout that process of showcasing they made the right decision, you're gonna make some really good money as well. So it's a win-win situation. So this is where most sales reps either sink or swim. But with the right approach, you could fast track your way to consistent performance by building what I call the sales identity stack. All of that while simultaneously mastering the fundamentals of sales. Most people think that they need to fake it till they make it. But here's what I learned from learning under elite closers. Authenticity beats acting every single time. And you could develop this authenticity while taking calls from day one. So here is my 30-day system that builds your foundation and accelerates your performance at the very same time. Week number 1, identity discovery through real conversations. I would start taking calls immediately, but with a dual focus. Every call is both a learning opportunity and it's a chance to discover my authentic sales voice. Just be yourself. During downtime with my sales calls, I'd be doing 3 things. Number 1 is I would be recording myself having normal conversations with friends and family. This is what becomes my natural conversation baseline. Number 2 is I would consume everything about the product, about the market, and about the problems that these customers are facing on a daily basis. You have what you call a client avatar. Okay, as a remote salesperson, no matter what product you sell, you have an avatar, a certain type of person that comes in on a daily basis that looks to buy your product. And 99% of the time, they're all in the same situation and they're experiencing the same problems. So if we could pick up on those like a consultant looking for patterns, it becomes easy to solve the same problem on every single call on a daily basis, meaning you will close a high percentage of deals. And number 3, I would write down exactly why I believe this solution could change people's lives. On top of that, there's a strong chance that your company has a ton of testimonials or a wins channel that you could go through. And I would be going through that on a daily basis. I want to build that conviction within me and speak in a way that prospects would feel stupid saying no to me. Meaning I want to have so much conviction on a sales call that they question their own beliefs. Now, all 3 of these things, what they do is they build my own understanding on how the solution fits into people's lives, all while discovering my authentic conversation style through real prospect interactions. Week number 2, pattern recognition and belief interaction. Now, I would continue taking sales calls, but now I'm creating call anatomy reports. And I would do this after each and every call. For each call, I would document these things. Number 1, what questions created the most engagement with the prospect? Number 2 is where did the prospect seem to lose interest? Was it the pitch? Was it certain questions that you asked? Write that down on your report. Number 3 is I would write down what objections came up most frequently. You will realize on every single sales call, you are going to receive the same 2 to 4 objections. Meaning if we can master those 4 objections, you will close more deals. And number 4, I would write down moments where my genuine conviction came through in the conversation versus moments where I sounded scripted. The places where you sound scripted, you're going to want to practice and hammer down. That way they sound like an authentic conversation. Now, lastly, I would also add this one in as well because because this is ideally the most important piece. I am always listening to recordings of other top performers on my sales team. And whenever I watch a recording of another salesperson, I'm always going to write down just 1 or 2 things that I could take from their sales call and implement into mine. Getting better at sales isn't a game of restructuring your entire sales process at once. It's a game of implementing 1 or 2 things at a time. Week number 3, systematic skill development. At this point, I would start taking sales calls with specific areas of focus based off my analysis during week 2. So instead of trying to close everything, I would focus on 1 skill per day. Maybe on Mondays, I am fully focused on my discovery versus Tuesdays, I'm fully focused on pitching. Wednesdays, I'm only focused on objection handling and so forth. So with all of this implemented, this is what my daily routine becomes. I'm doing 30 minutes of targeted learning focused on 1 specific skill. I'm applying that skill to all of my sales calls, all while staying authentic to myself. I'm tracking not just performance metrics, but energy levels, confidence ratings, and what I learned through each interaction. Now we are on the final week, which is week 4, integrated performance. By week 4, I am integrating everything into a cohesive approach. My authentic style, my genuine conviction, my systematic learning, and my performance tracking is all working together. Now here's the crucial part. I would record every single call with permission from the prospect, of course, and review at least 1 on a daily basis. Here's typically what I'm looking for in a sales call review of myself. Number 1 is how well I'm maintaining my authentic conversation style while under pressure on a sales call. Number 2 would be, is my genuine belief in the product coming through throughout the conversation? Or do I seem daunted? Do I seem nervous? Do I lack confidence in myself with the way I speak? Number 3 is which systematic improvements are working versus which ones need more time and attention. Do I still need to get better at objection handling? Is my pitch not up to par? Do I notice when I pitch my product, my prospect checks out and stops paying attention? Number 4 is I would make note on how my tracking system is helping me improve my performance. Now, this is where I'd actually start focusing on closing every deal possible, but with all the foundation work, both identity and skills supporting me. The beauty of this approach is that by the end of day 30, I haven't just learned sales techniques. I've discovered who I am as an authentic salesperson while building a systematic improvement process that ensures continued growth. And here's why this matters. When you're clear on who you are as a salesperson and you have a system to learn quickly, everything else becomes easier. You're not just performing, you're performing as yourself, which prospects can feel immediately. People want to buy from real human beings. And what worked decades ago with putting your sales hat on before jumping on a sales call does not work today. People buy from human beings that they like, but also human beings that they respect. Now, beyond this, there is still a crucial element of the process, which is how do we improve beyond month 1? Phase number 4, the skill acceleration system. You see, the worst thing you could do is get comfortable with mediocre performance and stop improving. But if I were starting over, I would implement this 1% daily improvement system. And this will ensure consistent progress. Number 1, the daily review protocol. Now, every single day, I would spend 15 minutes reviewing my performance. Not just what went well or what went bad, but what are the specific areas of improvement that I need to focus on. I'd ask myself 3 questions. What is one thing that I could have done better today? Number 2 is what pattern am I noticing with my interactions? Meaning, am I creating a lot of objections? Am I getting prospects that hang up on me in the middle of the conversation? Or maybe, hey, every single prospect is asking for testimonials at the end of the call, meaning they don't feel your conviction throughout the conversation. Now, question number 3 is what skills should I focus on tomorrow? The weekly deep dive. Beyond that, every single Friday, I would try and do a comprehensive analysis of my entire week. I would look at call volume and quality metrics. What was my close rate? What was my show rate? If you don't know your data, you will never know what to improve on. I have helped salespeople double the amount of money that they're making just by collecting more cash with every single deal they closed. Meaning, hey, if we're looking at your data as a salesperson and we see you have a 30% close rate, a 70% show rate, but you average only $1,000 in cash with every single deal you closed on a product that's worth $5,000, if if we do some simple math and just teach you how to double the amount of cash that you're collecting with every single close, whether that's using financing options or helping people sign up for credit cards that they could use immediately on the call, you will literally double your money just by having people pay $2,000 with every close rather than $1,000. Now, other things I'd look at on this comprehensive end of week analysis are common objections and how I handle them and how I could have done it better. Another key part is energy levels and peak performance times, meaning do I do better on sales calls in the morning or in the evening? When should I open up my calendar to take the most amount of calls? And finally, what I learned about the product, market, or avatar that I'm speaking with on a daily basis. The monthly breakthrough session. Now, once a month, I would do something called a breakthrough session. And this would be a deep analysis of where I am versus where I want to be. This goes back to looking at your metrics. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. If you're only making $10,000 a month as a remote salesperson and you want to get to 20, the only way we could figure out where you need to improve is by looking at the actual data. And again, the three most important data metrics that I look at for myself as a salesperson is my close rate, my show rate, and my average cash collected per close. Understanding these numbers will let you know what skills you need to focus on and how you need to develop as a salesperson. If you take this part seriously and commit to it, I guarantee that you'll see your first $10,000 month in commissions a lot sooner than you think. And again, this may seem like a lot, but hey, just book it into your calendar, time block it, and stick to your time blocks. But there is still one aspect that we haven't talked about, which can jeopardize the entire process if ignored: the mindset component. Now, working with world-class salespeople and entrepreneurs taught me a couple things. But I think the biggest thing is that your internal state determines your external results. If I were starting over, I would pay as much attention to my mindset as I do to my skills. But luckily, there is only three main aspects that you'll have to remember. The daily mental preparation routine. This includes 3 minutes of visualization before each call block. Visualize the close, visualize a conversation that you're about to have. Get your internal state and your energy levels aligned. And number 2 is your end of day reset routine. Now, I keep my reset routine pretty simple. I eat dinner by 6 p.m. I go to gym before I go to bed. I talk to my daughter about how her day was, and I'll read a book on a sales skill that I'm trying to master. But hitting these 4 key points just allows me to hit a hard reset button before I go to bed. That way I could wake up fresh and ready to go the next day. The rejection reframe system. Now, every no becomes data. It's not defeat. If you keep getting the same objection on every single call and you've done nothing to figure out how to actually handle that objection, you will never improve and never make the money that you want with sales. So I would go through each objection that I receive and use it to improve my approach. How could I pre-handle it? How could I prevent this objection from coming up in the first place? Or if it still comes up, what do I need to say to get past it? Now, finally, and most important, is long-term vision clarity. You need to be crystal clear on why you're in sales and where this is going to take you. It is not a game for the faint of heart. If you never understand where you want to go, you will never understand the steps that it takes to get there. And so you should always have a light at the end of the tunnel. This is why you're in sales. Is it because you want to start a business in the future? If so, what is that business and how much do you need to save? Is it because you want to buy your own home? If so, what will the home look like? What state, what country would you live in? And how much money would it cost for you to get the home? It is so much easier to go through the day-to-day turmoil that you'll sometimes experience with sales if you understand what is that light at the end of the tunnel that sales will take you to. So there you have it, my complete breakdown for breaking into high ticket sales in 2025. With this information, I don't have a single doubt that you can't make a consistent $10,000 a month, or at least $5,000 a month with remote sales. But if you want to level up to make far beyond that amount of money, just like my student Jay, who made $15,000 in a single month about 4 months ago, and he just made his first $30,000 in commission month this August, or even Tony, who just collected over $300,000 in cash for his company as a closer, meaning he made a little over $30,000 in commission. I put together a free 5-hour-long sales course where I go as in depth as humanly possible on what it takes to become an elite closer who is capable of hitting those 5-figure months. It should pop on the screen somewhere around here. And as always, once you learn to sell, you will never starve. Thanks.